Most people think this is about confidence, but I really think it's about some tactics, and I want to share those tactics with you. I used to walk into meetings and I would replay everything I said in my head. And I would go through over and over again. Did I say what I meant? Did people hear what I intended? And did I really get what I was looking for? And this wasn't even true with just meetings. This was also like some harder conversations in relationships, harder conversations with friends, even fun conversations when we were trying to organize things. Through this process, I've really thought about what are some of the pieces that help convey confidence, help convey your message when you're trying to actually get something across to someone else. What I realized is that when I wasn't speaking confidently, what I was trying to recommend was kind of buried in a story or buried in my fear of a pushback or buried in this idea of I really needed to soften it because I didn't want to upset anybody. Most people think this is about confidence, but I really think it's about some tactics, and I want to share those tactics with you. Granted, as you get this started, it might feel a little awkward, but I'd like you to try some of these things on. Maybe don't do it in the big board meeting, but think about some places that you can try some of these tips and see how you feel. So, first, what not to do. Step one, using softeners. Softeners are ways when you get stuck and you're using words because you are uncomfortable with sharing the message and worried that there's going to be pushback. So, this is when you start with sentences like, I just really wanted to, or I don't know, but, or I might be wrong, but these are linguistic hedges. You are unintentionally conveying to the other person that you don't actually believe in what you're saying, and you're already prepping for how they're going to rebuttal before you've even said your message. Make the point without an apology and without a but. Signal two, build the case before the answer. All right, so you're going into your conversation, you're ready to give your solution, and because you're nervous, instead of going out really strong with what you want to say, you start with a story that's all around it. And then you spend more and more minutes talking about this context of the story and not actually getting to the point. You don't want to lose the room. So begin with the message, lead with the answer. Let the reasoning come only after somebody asks some questions. And remember, questions doesn't mean they don't believe in what you have to say. We want to assume that when people ask a question, it's because they're curious. So we're going to get right to the point right away, then tell a brief story or example, and then pause and wait for questions. Signal three, matching the energy in the room, and a falsehood of matching the energy up rather than matching the energy down. If you want to build and convey more confidence in a meeting or in a conversation, be aware of the energy that's building in the room. And you'll notice that there'll be people who will build up and up and up. And that might mean they're speaking louder, they're owning more space as they speak, or they could be even yelling, hopefully not. What they're doing there is leveling up the energy. If you want to come in and remain confident, you want to do the opposite. Pause, say what you want to say, and slow things down. Take the opposite energy, because as you take the opposite and you bring the conversation down, what you're doing is pulling people into what you're having to say, helping them to think and slow their response times down also, which in turn is giving you confidence. I've told you what to do. Now I want to give you some examples. So, step one, deliver the solution or recommendation in one sentence. Make your point and pause. The pausing gives you the authority. Example two, use the name of the person you're answering. Mark, another option here is, Mark, this is my lease on this. Using their names will also shift the energy in the room, and you will become a little more confident because now they're directly listening to what you have to say. And then finally, reframe the question. When you reframe a question when things are getting heated or people are maybe not listening to what you have to say, reframing the question includes them in the answer. So you could say something like, here's the question I think we should actually be discussing. Here's the solution that I think we are all looking for. This makes the solution part of what everyone's looking for. And in turn, you now sound like the leader. Obviously, this stuff takes practice. Try some of these things on. Maybe take it in a small meeting, take a word or two and say, I'm going to try this week and see how it feels. After you've had the meeting, walk out of the room and remember those feelings. Remember at the beginning when I said, I used to come out and think, oh my gosh, did I say what I wanted to say? Or did I have the meaning I intended? If you give some of these a try, I think you'll find that you'll feel a little more confident in what you wanted to say. You were able to control the message a little bit more, and people perceived you as being confident even if you were super nervous. As always, we want to hear from you. Which one of these tips did you try? How did it make you feel? And are people thinking that you are more confident than you actually maybe internally think you are?